Betty and Connor Bowman seemed to lead an idyllic life in Rochester, Minnesota. As dedicated and respected medical professionals, they had built a reputation for excellence within their community. Their colleagues and neighbors believed their marriage was a picture of harmony, with both committed to their careers and each other. Betty and Connor were both employed at the prestigious Mayo Clinic, where they contributed significantly to their respective fields. In addition to his role at the clinic, Connor has specialized expertise and in-depth knowledge of various toxic substances. As a result of this, he also worked as an experienced poison controller. He was an accomplished doctor and pharmacist with specific expertise intended to assist individuals. But a darker aspect to this knowledge emerged when his wife passed away from what appeared to be natural reasons. A troubling online search history, adultery, and debt enveloped the Bowman marriage, ultimately resulting in its terrible and deadly conclusion. Betty Jo Bowman was born in Wichita, Kansas, where she spent her formative years. She graduated from Bishop Carroll High School in 2009, driven by a passion for science and medicine from a young age. Determined to pursue her dream of becoming a pharmacist, she enrolled at the University of Kansas, where she earned her doctorate in pharmacy in 2017. Fulfilling her lifelong ambition, Betty found her calling working at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester. Upon her arrival, the pharmacist who had trained her there recalled her as a highly trustworthy, diligent, intelligent, and kind individual. She liked helping others and spreading her kindness and warmth to everyone she came into contact with at work. Her job path as a pharmacist led her to meet her spouse, Dr. Connor Bowman. Connor Bowman also obtained his doctorate in pharmacy in the same year that Betty graduated from the University of Kansas. While their academic careers coincided, they soon went in different directions professionally. Betty finished her residency in Topeka, while Connor stayed on at the university to finish his medical degree. Working as a poison specialist during this period, he also developed competence in toxicology. As per their LinkedIn profiles, Connor's extensive expertise in this subject emerged as a distinctive feature of his professional background, positioning him as a highly valued medical community member. Before they even graduated, Betty Jo and Connor Bowman were best friends, and their bond became stronger as they continued their exacting coursework. Connor's proposal in December 2019 was a happy turning point in their relationship. With great excitement, Betty Jo announced the news on her Facebook page, prompting a flood of well-wishes and congrats. At the Rapidy in Independence, Missouri on May 31, 2021, Connor and Betty Bowman tied the knot. Together, they felt invincible, ready to face any challenge that came their way. Their bond was strong, and they believed that no matter what life threw at them, they could handle it side by side. Their love and commitment gave them the confidence to take on the world, believing that as long as they had each other, nothing could stand in their way. However, this practically picture-perfect marriage, the pair shared frequent images of one another on social media and had an active presence there, would eventually experience unsettling shifts. Because of Connor's debts, the couple allegedly kept separate bank accounts. It's possible that any innate stress was exacerbated by an unpredictable financial position. However, their buddies didn't suspect anything. They were regarded by their neighbors as a calm, private couple who kept to themselves. On occasion, Betty would run into her neighbors while out walking her corgi, Sir Trumpet II of Mulberry. Her pride and pleasure were her trumpet, and she loved treating him kindly.
Betty worshipped her dog. When he was a puppy, she would quite literally brush his teeth every single night. I've never met a more dedicated dog owner.
Yes, this dog was the one who provided one of the few outside indications that anything was off in the house. Early one morning, a neighbor heard the dog bark loudly, indicating a disturbance. Shortly after, the cops showed up at the residence.
One morning, there was a bunch of their dogs were barking over there a whole bunch, and I might have heard a bit of shouting or something while we were sleeping. But yeah, and then sure enough, the cops kind of came soon after.
Neighbors didn't know why, though. Up until that point, Betty's terrible end had been shrugged off as an accident. In August 2023, Betty was admitted to the hospital on August 16th. She was suffering from symptoms of food poisoning, including dehydration and stomach aches. She did not, however, react to conventional therapies. Her health kept getting worse. She had heart problems, fluid in her lungs, and ultimately organ failure. When it was found that Betty's colon had necrotic, dead tissue, the damaged portion needed to be removed surgically. One thing became evident as her condition deteriorated. This was not your typical case of food poisoning. However, medical professionals were unsure about the true cause. Connor proposed that Betty could have HLH, an uncommon autoimmune illness that results in an organ-attacking response from the white blood cells in the body. She was checked for the illness, but the findings were not very clear. She had no reason for her condition's decline or viable therapies, and on August 20th, 2023, she passed away in a hospital. Her family and friends were stunned and grieved by her death due to this abrupt and violent disease.
And obviously it was devastating and it was so sad, and I just couldn't believe that somebody as young as Betty and as generally healthy as Betty could possibly happen, but work in the intensive care unit. And so I see, unexpected things happen that way. And so knowing that situations like what was supposed to have happened.
She had always been the picture of health, full of energy and zest for life. Her active lifestyle, dedication to her work, and passion for traveling painted a portrait of a vibrant young woman with a promising, fulfilling future ahead of her. Everyone who knew Betty expected her to live a long and rewarding life. But tragically, instead of realizing that potential, she passed away in a hospital bed at just 32 years old. In writing Betty's obituary, Connor stated that an infectious disease with a quick onset was the reason for her death, even if the HLH test had yielded conflicting results. He informed the medical examiner's department that Betty's death had been spontaneous and stated that she would be cremated right away, according to court records. He also tried to cancel the autopsy, arguing that his wife had always expressed a strong aversion to being a cadaver, a body dissected on a cold slab. While this may have been a sincere and natural reaction fueled by his grief, it raised suspicions. His other actions in the wake of his wife's death were unsettling and inconsistent with those of an innocent, heartbroken husband. These behaviors cast doubt on his true intentions and left many questioning his motives. Bowman was in frequent email communication with a death investigator at the medical examiner's office. He inquired whether the toxicology analysis they were conducting would be more comprehensive than the standard tests performed by the hospital, which had already been done on Betty. Seeking more specific information, he also requested a detailed list of substances they would be testing for. Notably, on August 16th, the day Betty was admitted to the hospital, she granted Connor access to her protected health information. However, this access was supposed to expire upon her death on August 20th, raising questions about the timing and intent behind his inquiries and actions during this period. Throughout her brief sickness, he routinely reviewed her electronic health record, obtaining a journal of the operation room, reviewing notes, drug allergies, and session information. Even though his access to this information should have ended when she passed away, he kept going back to look at it every day following her passing. He entered a documented interaction in her electronic health record on August 22nd, but he made no additions. He was then recognized as a member of her care team, since he had made anything in the file. It implied that he wouldn't need to input his credentials to view the electronic record going forward. So, what was the reason for his request for her medical records? Investigators would have reason to believe that he was not as innocent as he claimed when it came to his wife's death, based on his suspicious actions in the week before her death. Officials from the University of Kansas gave Connor a laptop to use for his poison control work, and they were able to secure a search warrant for his gadgets. This job gave him a specific understanding of the industry because it included studying and fielding calls on poisons. Having a virtual private network, VPN authentication method, it was only accessible by him as a gadget intended for private medical work. The university conducted a thorough investigation into the search history on their device and network, uncovering some concerning findings related to Connor's online activity. They revealed that Connor had been researching sodium nitrate, a substance known to limit the transport of oxygen throughout the body. Specifically, he had searched for online vendors selling sodium nitrate, and on August 10th, had even investigated the differences between food-grade and industrial-grade sodium nitrate. Additionally, he accessed a medical journal, typically reserved for healthcare professionals, to search for information on the lethality of various substances. The university also discovered that Connor had been researching colchicine, a drug commonly used to treat gout, further raising suspicions. Neither Connor nor any other staff member had received calls asking for information regarding colchicine, with the implication that he was just conducting the study for personal rather than professional purposes. He had gone to the Excellent RX website in conjunction with the Stripe website to look for liquid colchicine. This led investigators to believe that Connor intended to buy a liquid colchicine. His curiosity in it went beyond intellectual pursuits. They said he intended to make use of it. Gout attacks that come on suddenly are treated with colchicine. One type of arthritis that causes excruciating joint inflammation is called gout. However, if taken in excess, colchicine can cause toxicity. 3 stages may be identified in this poisoning. 10 to 24 hours after consumption is the first. This stage of the digestive system imitates food poisoning symptoms. The first 24 to 7 days following intake are when the second phase starts. The person's organs gradually shut down during this period. If the patient has not already passed away from sepsis and multiple organ failure, the third phase begins with recuperation a few weeks later. The way the symptoms are developing is remarkably similar to Betty Bowman's sudden sickness. Connor utilized the internet on August 10th to multiply Betty's weight in kilograms by the time plate. The estimated fatal dosage of colchicine is 0.8 milligrams per kilogram. Colchicine was discovered to be in her system after samples were collected and examined by the Minnesota Department of Health. She had never received an HLH or gout diagnosis. Despite her husband's insistence, who is a poison specialist, she did not die from a rare autoimmune condition. Rather, the medical examiner concluded that she was killed in a murder and that the toxic effects of the colchicine were the cause of death. A friend of Betty's visited her on August 10th, 10 days before she passed away, and she tried a smoothie her husband had made for her. According to the companion, it tasted awful. She remembers thinking it was odd that he had given her a smoothie, because according to the warrant, he had never prepared anything for anyone. The two pals weren't serious when they joked that Connor was attempting to poison her. Betty dumped the smoothie away after deciding not to consume it anyhow. Betty texted her boyfriend on August 14th, 2 days before she fell sick. She was excited to visit him because she had a few days off work. They got together the next day when she was feeling well. The night of August 15th, the day before her health's decline, she informed him that she and her spouse were drinking at home. By daybreak, the situation had become more dire. She informed her buddy that she was unable to sleep at all because she felt so sick, and she thought that the alcohol in the drink, combined with a huge smoothie, was what had caused it. Since Betty and Connor were experiencing marital issues, a different female friend of Betty's voiced fears over her passing. Despite having an open relationship, they had committed to keep their distance from their other lovers. However, friends of the couple revealed a different side to the story, noting that Connor had become increasingly infatuated with his new girlfriend. Betty, aware of the situation, had reportedly confronted him and even suggested the possibility of a divorce. The image of marital harmony that the couple portrayed on Facebook was far from reality. Just 3 days after Betty's death, a friend visited their home and was surprised to find Connor's girlfriend there, with Betty's photos already removed from the walls, hinting at a much deeper rift in their relationship. Their bank accounts and Connor's debts could have caused financial strain on their union. Furthermore, it is said that he informed a buddy that he would get $500,000 in life insurance following Betty's passing. This was deemed sufficient by the police as a motivation. They said that more Google searches showed a guilty conscience and a need to hide his tracks, such as the question of whether his internet surfing history may be used against him in court. Police tracked Connor's online activity, uncovering searches related to package delivery tracking and deleting Amazon data. These searches were dated to August 5, 2023, nearly 2 weeks before Betty's death. Investigators believed these actions were part of his attempt to cover up what he had done to his wife, but he hadn't been careful enough. On October 20th, during a routine traffic stop, Connor Bowman was arrested and charged with second-degree murder, marking a pivotal moment in the case as authorities pieced together the evidence against him. An additional investigation of his house revealed a receipt for a $450,000 bank deposit. The reason they were together in the first place was his medical expertise, which he reportedly used to murder his wife to acquire money. All who knew Betty remember her as a pleasant, inspiring presence. One coworker described how Betty came in later than normal on one of her final days of life because there was a stunning rainbow and dawn to witness.
Literally a week before she left, was her describing this like double rainbow that she saw in the morning before work while she was walking Crumpet, and she like wished us all like happiness and hoped that we found beauty in our day, and that was just her.
She would quite literally just pay me randomly just to, I even had a flat tire at one point when I was on the way over to walk her dog, and I told her, I was like, hey, I'm running late. I'm so sorry. Without even saying anything, all of a sudden I get a Venmo for $60 that said tire fund. She was so proud of how far I've come in the horses and how she's so proud to see me chase my dreams, and that she was going to miss me and that Crumpet was going to miss me.
She saw the beauty in the world, appreciating life's wonders with a unique perspective. Yet, in a cruel twist of fate, she was murdered, allegedly by the very person who was supposed to love and protect her the most. Her tragic end stands in stark contrast to the vibrant life she lived, leaving behind a haunting legacy of betrayal and loss.